I'm Rihanna Rockwell, and I will be presenting my speech today. Before I start my speech, I would like to thank Alice Scott, my donor, the Malheur County Cattlemen's Association, Chris and Bonnie Christensen, and my grandparents. My journey with honey has been long and well worth it. When I first got honey on November 11th of 2018, I knew that honey would be a fast learner. After I got her home, I put her halter on and gave her shots. After a couple of months, Honey finally got the hang of being led around. I started giving her baths and started to load her in the trailer. She is becoming the wonderful pet I hoped she'd be. She loved her grain and story time. Honey and I had finally became friends. She would walk right up to me and let me do anything I wanted to do with her. She also loved the horses and dogs. When it was time to put her with the bull, I was a little nervous because I didn't know what was going to happen. But once I took her halter off, she ran to the bull and wanted to play with him. We then turned them out in the feedlot, and they seemed pretty happy to be together. It was eventually time to bring Honey back in so she could get her ultrasound. Sure enough, Honey had a little calf inside of her. Then the work started. Honey had gone a little wild when she was with the bull, so I had to tame her down. My 4-H club did a round-robin practice, and there was a lady there who was showing us how to clip a steer and heifer. I took Honey along so she'd be used to being hauled around and seeing a bunch of kids. I then took her home, and about a week later, it was time to clip her for fair. She didn't really appreciate the clipping, but we got through it. About 2 weeks later, it was finally time to take Honey to the fairgrounds. Once we got to the fairgrounds, I unloaded Honey, and she was being stubborn, so I had one of my friends' dad lead her to her stall. Once she got used to all the people, she finally settled down. The next day, Honey had gotten dirty, and I had to give her a bath, which was a pain because she didn't want to lead, so I got some help. That day was kind of a chill day for her, but the next day would be a work day. I got to the fairgrounds early the next morning and gave Honey yet another bath. I also had to get her all prepared to be shown. We didn't do as good as I wanted to do, but we always had the next day. That next day, I did everything I did the day before, but I also had to show my horse. So I got help from my grandparents, and so all I had to do once I was done showing my horse was run down to the cow barns and show Honey. That day, we got a blue ribbon, and I was so happy. Once fair had finally ended, I could slow down a little. Once we got back from the fair, I unloaded Honey, and I put her with her friend. I then grained them for about a month, and then turned them out with the rest of the cows. Honey was as happy as could be. In February, I decided to bring Honey back up so she could have her calf next to the house in case anything happened. Of course, Honey was late calving. But then, she had it on March 4th. She had it about an hour before I went to go and feed her. I was pretty bummed I missed her birth, but at least she had a healthy calf. When it was time to name the calf, I had forgotten that I was going to name it Bee. I had no idea what to name her, so on my Instagram story, I asked people to give name suggestions. Out of all the names, I chose 2, Clover and Lemon. Then I asked which name I should go with, and almost every one of my followers chose Clover. So Honey's calf was then named Clover. When it was time to breed Honey back, I was going to AI her to a Highland Akaushi bull, and his number was 0532. But sadly, Honey didn't come into heat. So we gave her a double dose, and she still didn't come into heat. So we decided not to AI her. Instead, we decided to take her over to Chris and Bonnie Christensen's to get her bred by their Akaushi bull, Barney. Barney then bred Honey on June 5th. We got her back along with Clover, who Chris and Bonnie gave shots to. I'm glad that they allowed me to breed Honey to their bull, Barney. I then took Honey to get her ultrasounded on July 23rd, and she was pregnant. It was fun to start working with Clover again, but I put the halter on Clover and started to lead her around. At first, she threw some fits. Then she started to lead way better. I guess she had got Honey's ability to learn fast. Every day after I worked with Clover, I would give her a bath and grain her. Honey also got grain because she would become a diva without it. Again, I would like to thank the Malheur County Cattlemen's Association for the opportunity to grow my herd and learn more about cattle. I would also like to thank Alice Scott for being a great donor and giving me a great heifer. And to conclude my speech, I would like to say some of my expenses. For grass, Honey was on grass from August of 2019 to July of 2020, and the total cost of grass was $215. She was then put on hay for 150 days, and the cost of that was $337.50. I grained her for about 6 months, and the cost of that was $153. So my total feed cost would be $705.50. Thank you.